Hi, and welcome to Empowerment Through Intuition. I am so excited about tonight's show. We are throwing back the curtain on incest, molestation, and the horrors that happen inside our families that we are afraid to look at, but we don't realize it is more than harming the physical, it is harming the spiritual as well. And we have some phenomenal guests with us, but let me first say I'm Nora Truscello. You guys know me. I'm not going to give you the spiel. And my partner, Chris.
Hi guys, it's Chris from Conversations with Chris. Teacher, medium, psychic, healer.
Yay!
We do it all.
We do it all. And you can find more information out about Chris at christinegorganis.com. Her name is in the corner of the picture. And with me, either noratruscello.com or intuition.com. Now, I am so excited to introduce you to these two powerful women that the good Lord put in my path just about a week ago. Jolian and her mother, Catherine. And I'm sorry we don't have Catherine's name up because they're sharing the link. But I am going to put in this feed later links and stuff on how to find them, their websites. Ladies, give an introduction about yourselves, please.
Well, hello. I am Catherine Wyatt Morley, and I am founder and CEO of Women on Maintaining Education and Nutrition, a nonprofit here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Hi, I am Jolian Welsh Cole. I am the programs director of that nonprofit here in Nashville, Tennessee, and the author of the epilogue in my mother's book called
I'm sorry, Jolian, can you hold a second? Yes. I'm getting like feedback in two different places. Go ahead, honey, say something. I apologize.
Oh, no, you're okay.
Go ahead. I'm good now. I'm not getting that double feedback. I have to have Facebook on, so I apologize, guys, for doing that. But go ahead, Jolian, please tell us all about you.
Okay. I left off at the programs director for the organization that my mother mentioned here in Nashville, Tennessee, and the author of the epilogue of I Am the Product of Rape called Burning House.
Thank you. All right, we have so many people have already jumped on it today. I'm so excited. Please ignore my rocking head, guys. Rebecca, so nice to have you on the show again. Carolina, I've missed you, honey. Shauna, thank you for sharing about the show. Andrea, Erin. Erin is our comedian. She's our in-house comedian. Erin has been through heck and a handbasket like you have been, ladies, so she really relates to this situation.
Hello, Erin.
Linda, Melissa, Carol, thank you. Carol, I'm so glad you're doing well and joining us. So, these women have really been through quite abusive situations in their home and have found that it has created a break in spirit. And Chris and I are all about understanding the mind, the body, and the spirit all need to be strong. And when there's a break in one, it can open the door to negative spirits coming in and creating disturbances. And I've had some horrific cases where men as well as women have been abused physically by spirits, and every single time they have been molested or abused as children. Or, the oldest was 12, so this is a powerful, really important thing to understand. And I want you guys to just share about your story, share some about your book, and Chris will jump in whenever she wants, if she can shut me up, because I'm really excited about hearing from you too. So the stage is yours.
Okay, perfect. I'll let you start.
Well, I've written several books, but the last book is I Am the Product of Rape, a memoir. And it is exactly that. Yes, this is it. So everybody take a look at that. I wrote this book because it was a way for me in the beginning, it was a way for me to heal from so much pain that I had been experiencing and enduring over the course of my my life. And in that process, I discovered a multitude of things. And one of the multitude of things that I discovered is that I was adopted. And in the adoption process, I wanted to find my biological mother. And in the search of my biological mother, I found my biological mother and met her and discovered that everything that I grew up knowing and believing was a lie. Everything that I was told as a child was a lie. My biological mother began to be molested by her stepfather at age 7. And it was a horrific, horrific ordeal at age 7. Her mother knew all about it. Her mother allowed it to take place. And at age 12, in a stench-filled, horrific, terrible, terrible, filthy basement, she gave birth to me at age 12. Well, at age 12, she didn't even realize she was pregnant. She had no idea what even being pregnant was. She had no pre-pregnancy classes or anything. So she had no idea what it was. And so she was alone and gave birth to me on the basement floor. And she, in doing so, it really sent her into a psychological tailspin, needless to say. And so they took her and they took me to the hospital, and she came home from the hospital and I never did. I went straight into the foster care system and she never laid eyes on me again. But from the very first moment that I was born, on that basement floor, she rejected me. The moment I came out of her, she refused to even look at me. And so that was the beginning of rejection for me. And I had no idea that that was a pattern. And so over the course of my life, there was one thing that, and another and another and another, filled with different forms of rejection through my adoption life. And I will now turn it over to my daughter and allow her to tell you about the 4th generation. One of the unique things about my book is it chronologically depicts 4 generations of women who have been touched by incest. It starts with my grandmother, the woman who allowed the incest to take place in her home. Then it talks about my mother, who was in fact the victim of incest. Then it talks about myself, the product of rape and incest. And then
there was me.
Hi, you.
Yes. And then it discusses in the epilogue, which I carefully picked the title "Burning House." It specifically articulates my burning house. And I disclosed to my mom that I was molested. I disclosed to her for the first time after it being kept a secret. I told no one for 2 decades. And I disclosed to her in a mental state of mind. In a manic mental state of mind. I was manic, so obviously I wasn't thinking clearly, and I thought that I could literally just walk into her room, I could tell her this thing, and then I can just turn around and walk out, and everything is going to be okay, and I'm going to feel better, because the objective was just to, get it off my chest, feel light and not be so heavy with this anymore, having to keep it a secret. It didn't work in my favor. My mom is not that type of mom. And so it became powwow hour, and we had some family counseling right there, in her office. And the book, details these things. It discusses not only molestation, but it talks about mental health. It talks about anger and aggression. It talks about the destruction of of what molestation has done to our home, and some of the reasons why I felt at a very young age, I guess I justified as a young child to keep it a secret. And so I do recommend those that are survivors and those that are very close to survivors to get the book. It is definitely a heavy topic, but it is a healing journey that we plan to take with you. So
I just want to read a little bit of the comments because, like I said, Erin has been through Heck in a Handbasket, and she says, I can understand that injury. My parents both rejected me over and over, and I kept getting put back into that situation. I find myself asking, what did I do wrong that no one can love me? She says, God bless your mom. What a strong, amazing woman to turn tragedy into beauty. You are survivors, not victims. And that is true. And here's the thing, when the people I counsel and the people Chris counsels, I'm sure, they always say, I don't know what I did to deserve this. And that is such a break in the spirit. And that thinking that they deserve this kind of behavior is what a child would think, and this is being done to children. But that conversation lives on into your adult life, always corrupting and always hurting.
That is so true. That is so true. You know, when I was rejected from my very first breath, then I was adopted, and I was adopted into an adopting situation where my adoptive mother chose the love of my brother over me, who was also adopted. And so I like Aaron was like, why don't you love me? What did I do? You know, I wore that for years. I thought there was something wrong with me until over the course of time, I came to understand this is not about me. This is not me. I am who I am, and I can no longer wear your baggage. I just can't. I'm not strong enough. That is not my baggage to wear. But as a child, you know, you think that it's you. You think that you've done something wrong.
Exactly.
And you internalize that. And you grow up that way. We just do. That's human nature.
I was asked for you to repeat the name of the book and to please hold it up again.
No problem. No problem. So here, I'll hold it closer.
That's it.
I Am the Product of Rape, a memoir. You can find, if you go to our website, www.Catherine, Catherine, Wyatt, WYATT-MORLEY.com. All of the information is there.
And you can Google I Am a Product of Rape, a memoir, and they come right up. And that's a lot easier than trying to remember Catherine's spelling.
Yes, and you can Google my name for those of you that are watching us while we stream. You can Google my name on the screen, and the book title and information will come up.
And you can get the book on Amazon.
And you can learn more about us in more detail too.
Also, Erin made another very good point. And then we marry into the same relationships if we haven't learned how to handle it. And Brittany is like totally on board with Erin saying correct also.
Yes.
And I totally agree with Erin. Because my molestation was my first introduction to how a man treats you, to intimacy, to relationship. That's how I perceived how you are supposed to be treated. You know, that was my first interaction. And like my mom says, we internalize things. We're like, oh, okay, well, if this is what is happening and no one's doing anything about it, then this must be okay. This must be what we're supposed to do. And so as I grew older, I found myself, and I'm just now realizing these things, guys. This is not like, this is not like as these things were happening, I just knew I was doing wrong. I'm just now realizing these things because I'm on my healing journey. So I'm able to step outside of myself and see how the old Jalian, you know, how she was acting and responding and things like that. But I am just now able to realize that I always chose the bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the thug guy was very ideal to me. Anything bad, I thought that was cool. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I thought that was masculine. That was a man that talked crazy to you, a man that hit you, a man that mistreated you, a man that disrespect you. That's just how a man is a man. You know, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I look back on that and I'm like, what the heck was I thinking? And I found myself in 2014, I found myself in a domestic violence situation that I could not get out of. And I literally had to lose everything, and including my mother, my child, my home, my job. Literally, I lost everything. So I finally got to the bottom of my barrel, to the bottom of my bottom, to be able to step outside of myself and say, shit, there's something wrong. There is something wrong here. I have to fix this situation. And it took a while, guys, but I will tell you, you know what? It's going to be a hard journey. And no one said it was going to be easy, but you can do it. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe that there's something better for you on the other side.
I want to share some of the comments and then ask you a question. And Chris, okay. I'm sorry. I'm like, God, if you're good, you just let us know.
Okay.
Rebecca is agreeing with Aaron about the relationship, saying that sometimes it's more than one relationship. I mean, you got to keep making a mistake until you realize it's not you and it's not healthy. Carolina, she says, yes, we almost immediately ask ourselves, why me? We rarely ask, how can we heal? And that's what tonight's about. How can we heal? Thank you so much for bringing that up, sweetie.
Yes.
Because that's what's important. And Aaron's in agreement. I love, my gosh, I don't think I got this much activity on our feed in forever. Andrea, the hardest thing is to learn to love yourself and surrender yourself with positive relationships. Surround yourself with positive relationships. When you internalize that, you do not deserve better and or positive love and relationships. I get what she's saying. After going through those dark experiences, okay, people write in shorthand thinking we exactly understand, but in this case, we get it. Yeah. These are dark relationships. What I wanted to ask you guys was to please share that beautiful story about when you decided that you needed to smudge your house. What led you to do that, and what was the ramifications of that? Because guys, see, what happens is she's internalizing, this is all normal, this is all okay, I should be abused. The darkness and the heaviness is starting to suffocate her. She's struggling with extreme depression now. And take it away, Jalian.
And an array of other things I was struggling with too, Nora. So an array of other mental health issues and everything else. To get straight to your answer, why did I choose to smudge? I need to tell you a little bit on the front end before I get to that answer. Okay, so over the years, my mother has been talking to me about the different types of things that she would learn when she would visit the aura shops and stuff in our local area, and different items that she would get and what they were for and what they meant and things like that. So I recall a time with her talking to me about negative spirits and negative auras, because my mom is like this aura person. She just is all about the aura of someone and the vibe that they give. And so she was talking to me about this, and I had been experiencing some negative activity in my home
Mhm.
shortly after I disclosed my sexual abuse to my mom. So I started experiencing these things that I had never experienced before, and the things would be like darkness, a feeling of darkness being around me. Literally, like being in an upbeat and a happy mood, and then pulling into my driveway and it'd be just this unsettling feeling. Just things like that. Be washing the dishes and feel like in my peripheral that I'm seeing something. It was just a whole bunch of stuff. Don't get me on a tangent. But anyway, so I was experiencing all these different things. And so I had told these things to my mom in more greater detail. And she strongly suggested that I smudge and, more importantly, have my house blessed. So she blessed my home from a distance, and then she blessed my home at the door before she entered, and then she blessed my home as she smudged and got rid of the negative energies. And she can go more into detail about, you know, the smudging component, because she spends more time in that realm than I do. So, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about when we get to that, but I allowed her to bless my home, and I allowed her to smudge my home, because I really felt like the evil spirits didn't want me to share that information.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want me to disclose. It was locked away for a reason, and that's where I was supposed to keep it. And the intention is to continue to decay our bloodline. That was the intention. My intention was to do the opposite.
I just have to throw in real quick. Boy, Chris, does that ring a bell? The bloodline stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There's many, many times that we deal with families. It goes across the lines of
The
generations.
lineage is exactly right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And we do
Go
a
ahead,
lot.
honey.
We do a lot of clearing for generations from the beginning to the end.
Yes, yes,
And
and we recognize that we are dealing with a 4-generation lineage here. We are stopping the 5th generation, because I have a
We're
granddaughter.
saving it.
And so
Yes.
those spirits are I don't know, extra mad, because we're taking a stance. You know, we're like, nope, you're not going any further. Do what you want to do to me, but you're not going any further than here.
And I would say not to say, do what you want to me. Do not open that door. You stop here. You cannot pass me. I am protected by the Lord Jesus. I am protected by his angels, and you will never harm this family again.
Right.
Do not offer yourself in place of. Absolutely. There's no need. Christ already offered himself for us. We're fine.
Yes.
yeah, because they'll wait for you to get mad, angry, depressed, upset, and they'll take that little widget. Is all they need is a little ittle bitty crack in the armor, and they get in there, and then it's hard for us to get them back out.
Yeah. They start wreaking havoc slowly again. But I want you to continue the story, but I have to say, Erin is just thrilled to death. She loves you, girl. She's sending hugs. Rebecca wants to know what was going on in Chris's head, but then Chris started talking. Carolina feels you girls. She's went through this experience too. There's a lot of sharing. Me too. I'm so hard-headed. I don't listen to intuition. I brush it off sometimes when really I just want to grab my crystals and pray. Praying is what it's all about, guys. Smudging, praying, crystals, praying. Always have the prayer in there. And yeah, Erin is also breaking the cycle. Thank God. It's not continuing on in her life either.
I'm proud of you, Erin. Keep doing what you're doing, honey. Break that cycle.
But if you go back to what Jay Lyon said in the beginning about the way she was describing the abuse and not knowing exactly how she felt, but this was her idea of what love looked like, whether it be sexual or partnership love. These were her indicators of what to look for in the future in a man.
Right.
I can tell you as a foster mother and an adoptive mother, it happens all the time. And I've had 5 to 7 kids that I know 5 of them have been abused. And they all say the same thing. They sound just like you. What did I do wrong? Why am I not lovable? And to try and heal that so they can get to a healthy relationship is still in the process. And one of my kids is married and still trying to process that abuse and whether or not it's a healthy love or a way to be loved.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It can be all consuming to try to understand, why am I not loved? What is it about me that makes me prone to being rejected? And so then what I did for years, decades, and I won't tell you how old I am, is built these walls. But the walls that I built around my heart were so thick and so cemented in until I refused to let anyone in, because those people who I loved and trusted the most were the ones that hurt me. My adoptive mother. I mean, your mother's not supposed to hurt you. My husband, the man that I loved more than anything else, I loved this man. He's the one who gave me HIV and changed the trajectory of my life, my family's life, Jelion's life, our whole life, and led us on this path, of course, that we are still on today. And so those people who you really, really, really let in your heart, and then they do those things to you, and then it has a way of changing one, and those forms of rejection can be quite devastating. So you have to try to figure, hard to come back from. So you have to try to figure out what to do with those things, and what you can do to put yourself in a self-care format. And that was what I needed to do for me. I put myself in a self-care, because at one point it became all about Catherine. Okay, what does Catherine have to do to take care of Catherine? Because I can't take care of this one, can't take care of that one, can't take care of that one, but I can take care of Catherine.
And that's a really important point for those that are watching and are on their healing journey. As humans, especially females, for those females that are watching, we have this built-in at birth, this nurturing piece to us. We in the recipe of a woman, God threw in being a nurturer. That's just who we are. And when you're on your healing journey, you need to be on your healing journey. It is about you, whatever your name is, it is about you. And you have to be very selfish. And so Catherine was being very selfish. And yeah, she took care of home. I'm not saying like drop your responsibilities, but she took care of home, but she had to have time for her to find out, you know, what was going on with her, and putting herself into situations like mental health or self-help books or audio videos or whatever, her meditation time, to be able to find to be able to find her peace, you know. And
I get it totally, because I had to stop and just kind of go on automatic pilot, take care of my family, and everything was about me. I had to go to the doctor. I had to see her regularly. I mean, at one point, I literally, God bless my husband, kind of wrapped me up in a blanket to get me there. I felt like I was falling apart. And I didn't go through 1/10 of what you women went through, but it just shows you, I was molested by an uncle as a child, yet mentally and spiritually, the harm was still done. It wasn't until I stopped looking at me saying what is wrong and looked and said, that person's sick, that I started getting well. And spiritually, I started getting well. And I found it really interesting that many of the people who were coming to me were women who were molested or incest, something in their past. It was like like they got attracted to me because we had the same energy vibration. And that's what the energy that was in your home was vibrating to the sadness and the distress that you were carrying in your head and in your heart.
Yeah.
So that was the energy that was being attracted in. But I have to give you some of what's going on, because they're going so fast.
Oh my gosh.
Let me see. Erin, are you as parents, and Chris, this is for you too, are you as parents find yourself overprotective because of this experience?
Yeah. I shoot first and ask questions later. That's my theory. What's wrong with that? There's a war going on. We can get some extra ammo from somewhere. Oops, I shot one. Damn, honey.
Whoops.
Go find another one, dear. There's plenty more fish out there. This one's not moving so well.
This one's all damaged.
How
No, they
about you,
actually
lady?
don't want to bring them around me because I just ask them very polite little questions about things they'd rather not bring up that they're trying to lie about. And I'd be like, I don't think so. And then they turn red and run for the front door.
Yeah.
How about you two?
I wouldn't say that that I'm overprotective of him, but I'm a very open mother. I'm very open. I say how I feel. I ask questions. I think that the older he gets, my protection alert increases, because the older he gets, the more curious he gets, the more
Butterflies he gets.
yes, and the people he hangs around, you know, are feeling those same things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm getting more protective because I feel like it's time to be more protective. But I don't think that I'm overly protective.
Oh, so Mary Lou says, I'm a wall builder. She literally builds walls around her children. Andrea, definitely. It was my fear that made me come out to my mother about my experience, and I'm even more guarded on who my daughter interacts with. So, yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Yes. Yes.
So when you smudged, and that energy was lifted, what was it like for you? What was the benefit? Not just smudge, guys, sprayed and smudge. Remember, her mama was praying. Catherine was praying before she even got to the house, just like Chris and I. We start praying right away before we get anywhere.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, let me give you a little bit of back with that. I was diagnosed with HIV 25 years ago. And I spent time in Bangkok, Thailand, working with the United Nations. And as I was working with the United Nations, I was privileged to spend time with the monks at some of the monasteries where the monks lived. And at that time, there were no medications in Thailand for individuals living with HIV. So I was there studying how they actually took care of people like me living with HIV. And so not only did I learn about those types of practices, but I also was able to learn so many other holistic approaches to care and how they actually cared for one another. Yeah. And, you know, they do a lot of incense burning and a lot of different forms of care. And yes. And so one of the things that I had a very difficult time was like sitting for long periods of time with my legs crossed, but I soon got that. But you know, that was kind of difficult. But the smudging with Jolian, when she was talking to me about that, and she was talking about these dark shadows that she would see, immediately I thought, there's heaviness and there's these dark auras that's happening around her. I really felt like her air needed to be cleaned. The atmosphere needed to be cleaned. And so I needed to start that at my house. We need to, because she's a part of me, it needed to start with me as the tree trunk. It needed to start with me. So immediately I wanted to pray. And then I, went and got the materials and those kinds of things. But it started with prayer. I mean, immediately I started calling on Jesus to remove anything that had anything to do with any level of ugliness that would surround my daughter. So I started praying in my house. I prayed on my way to her house. I prayed in my car. I prayed in the driveway. I didn't like her house, so I prayed at her front door. And then I literally lit the sage and everything at the front door before I walked in, and began the smudging process, because I wanted to make sure that we cleared out the entire house. We did not miss any level. So I went from room to room to room to room to room. I wanted her to open up cabinets, open up closets, open up everything.
That's out of the Chris book.
That's exactly what
she does. Yep.
Yes, we needed to get everywhere.
You weren't hiding in my house.
Yes.
She was getting you out of there, buddy.
Open up the attic, open everything. We need to open up everything. And so I wanted to get, we need to, let's just get some of this happening. And
well,
so,
Catherine, I have a question. Did you find some areas where they were really thick and heavy, and other areas like it just didn't stay?
yes. One of the areas that I found was really thick was in her bedroom.
Yes.
That's what I was just getting ready to ask you.
Yeah.
Because they were getting ready to attack her at night.
Yes, that's where I felt like I was being watched the most. It's so weird. So I had I have nieces and nephews, and they're little, and so they're scared of the dark. So I have these night lights that, like, they're motion censored night lights that when you walk past it, the light comes on. Well, I have one in my bathroom because when my niece stays with me, she stays in my room because I separate the boys and the girls. And so the light would come on in my bathroom. It would be no one in my room. I sleep with my door shut. It would be no one in my room but me. And I would feel like this darkness, and then my bathroom nightlight thing would just come on, and I'm like, this is like, what is going on?
Well, we're going to teach you a little. We're going to teach you a little secret in case that ever happens again, and Mom's not there with the smudge. And it could be, you could be anywhere. You could be at an antique store. You could be at a shopping mart. You could be going to a funeral, because they like sad places, and where there's dead spirits, they like to hang out in those places. Just say reverently in your head, Jesus, 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 3 times. And wherever there's darkness, light will come, because it's the balance of light and dark. So if you ever get scared, or you feel like somebody's pushing you down, or they're holding you back, or you can't breathe, even if you can't say it, you can say it here. But I'm telling you, instantly, it just disappears.
Yeah, this was what Jolian is explaining is the step before incubus or succubus, where the demons actually start beating your body, start causing rape, scratches, bruising. They're horrific cases that we've had to talk with people about. And she was fortunate enough that her mom was able to come in and do what was necessary before it escalated to that level, because it escalates to that level and you're already diagnosed as depressed or bipolar. They're never going to believe you. It's just your mental illness, and voila, you're on more drugs.
And Nora, I do want to let you know that I thought that I bruised easily. That was my excuse. Because again, for those of you that are watching, I don't know a lot about the paranormal and all that. You know what I'm saying? As a person that is ignorant to it, I just thought I bruised easily. And I would have bruises on my legs, on my arms, and I would be like, Mom, did I run into the wall, or did I hit my leg on something? Like, I couldn't remember hurting myself or whatever. Now, I'm not speaking anything into existence. I'm not saying that it was from that particular thing, but I am saying that I did experience.
Do you bruise easily now?
No.
No.
Okay. So we're not speaking that was the case, but that's just an example of it could have been.
Yes.
Right. I have, I want to share a few more things if I can.
Mhm.
Carolina, if I can affect our perspective of love, we become confused as to whether we deserve love, or we forget to love ourselves first rather than to seek it outside of ourselves. It's not easy to break the cycle. Yes, yes, yes. You remind yourself, and you always have you. It's too easy to lose our identity in the pain. It's a commitment to self. And Erin says God will sort them out. She also says, I admit I am. Heck, the principal at my son's, oh, she's talking about protecting children. She goes, I admit I am. Heck, the principal at my son's old school would always do a check like where she saw me walking up the walkway. Oh God, it's Mrs. Gray. What happened with her son this week? Okay, nothing. Like I said, she's
She was that mom. Hey, you know what?
No.
Sometimes you got to be that mom for your kids. You're
No.
at the end of the day, you're their only advocate. So
Yeah, and as Mary Lou, you're right. Prayer is always the answer. And when you're in those kind of really dark situations where you see the lights going on, you feel a spirit's present.
mhm.
Um, Using the words Jesus, Jesus, Jesus in a reverent way will free you up. Some people think that it's a dream, or it's a sign. They're paralyzed. They can't move while this demon or this monster does stuff to them, and they think it's, oh, sleep paralysis. See, science gave it a name, so therefore it's not of the spiritual world. No, science gave it a name, but it is of the spiritual world, and you need to pray to get released.
Can I ask you a question?
Of
You
course.
and Chris, I want to ask a question because I do believe that you two will be able to give me the knowledge I need on this. You were talking about sleep paralysis. Would you say that, okay, so about 3 situations at that stage of my life, because I have the before the sage and prayer and blessings happen, and then I have the after, and the after is so much more airy. So during that particular time in my life, it was at least 3 times that I felt like I heard, I don't know if it was a dream or not, I'm not clear on that, but I felt like I was being called downstairs. My room was upstairs. And the majority of the things that would happen to me happened in my room, which is probably why she's saying it was heavier there. But I would hear someone calling my name, an unfamiliar voice calling my name from downstairs, and I would be asleep, so I thought, and I couldn't move. I couldn't get up. I was stuck. And I remember one of those times feeling like something is about to happen to me bad and I can't move. I remember just being scared that I couldn't move. Do you think that was like a dream? Or do you think that has something to do with this particular thing?
I think it has something to do with this particular thing. And my interpretation, which might be slightly different than Chris, which makes it a much more interesting show because we don't always agree, is that was your angel trying to get you up, trying to get you to be aware so that you would protect yourself. But the demon had you, you heard this voice calling you, and that voice was what was actually trying to be of assistance. Possibly, but the fact that it was coming from downstairs could have a different meaning it was coming from a darker side. Chris, what do you say?
Well, you're close, Nora. You had an angel in the room, but because you wouldn't wake up, they couldn't help you.
And
And
if you
there
don't
was a
recall,
darker thing that wanted to pull you down to the darker side. That's why you felt like it was downstairs. But the angel was trying to wake you up so that you would know you were stuck. So it was just a little bit twisted because the darkness was pulling you downward. And you actually probably felt like you were pulled into the mattress. Because they're giving me like a sucking sound.
I was stuck. Like I couldn't move.
Like suction cups, right?
Yeah.
this happens.
Yep. I've had it happen to me.
Yeah, Erin's saying sometimes it is your angel trying to talk to you. Carolina's get out, that sounds way too familiar. Yeah, see, you guys are hitting home with a lot of people who Renee, it does work. I have done this. Thank you for that, Chris. You know, being able to say the Lord's name with reverence 3 times really changes everything.
Yeah.
Even if you think it's a dream, do it.
Right.
You know, because no harm's done in, you know, calling out the Lord's name with reverence.
And
Yeah.
it'll also pull you to the surface of whatever's going on. And once you start to say the word Jesus in your head, it allows all the angels and the free will issues to go aside. And then it's like you're pulling the curtain open and you're not letting the darkness close it off, because they use free will against us a lot of times.
Mm. Yeah, and I truly believe, and I have seen it in my life, that there is power in the name of Jesus, in
There is.
saying just that word.
Just
Uh,
that word.
yeah, just that one word. There is power. There
Mhm.
truly is power in that word.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say it from your core, when
Mhm.
you say it from your being, and when you say it from your soul, and you mean it, and he knows that you mean it, and more importantly, evil knows that you mean it.
It all clears up.
Yes, in the name of Jesus. Yes, it does.
Carolina expresses, I've had this experience. It's hard, but try to remember that awake or not, you call Jesus God and your angels. There's power in the blood, says Renee. I know we sound like holy rollers tonight, but Chris and I are very strong spiritual people. We do believe in the power of prayer 110%. We are Christians, so we don't hide behind, you know, just saying the divine, but we welcome any religions, any beliefs, as long as you are of a religion that is moving toward the light. You know, we kind of shun away from any Satanist.
And
Okay?
we're trying to express that everybody understand there is darkness out there.
That's it.
And it's gonna use any little crack it can to get in there, and how to defeat it.
Mm-hmm.
And
You know,
a
it
big
got
crack
into
is
4 generations of your family.
right. That's a huge crack.
It is. It really, really is. And you know, and we didn't even realize that it was there until I decided. And I also think that the God that I know is a purposeful God.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
because
there's
I
reason.
decided, you know, there's no such thing as coincidence,
Mhm.
to find my biological mother. And that was a miracle in and of itself, because you know, you get these random emails that you never answer.
Mhm.
Well, one day I got an email that in the subject line, my maiden name is Wyatt, okay? In the subject line, it had the name Wyatt in the subject line. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even paid the email any attention, because it was from someone that I didn't know. So I opened the email up, which again is something that I would not have done, because you just don't do that. And when I opened it up, the email said, I am D. Wyatt, I am C. Wyatt, and I'm looking for D. Wyatt. And I emailed back again, something that I would not have done. I would have just trashed it and kept it moving. I emailed back and said, I don't know who you are, but I am C. Wyatt, and I'm looking for my biological mother. From that email, I met the person that sent that email, and in less than 3 months, that person found my biological mother. That
Oh my
was a miracle.
God.
Yeah, that was a
Oh
miracle.
my gosh, that's
It
beautiful.
literally was a miracle. It really was a
I
miracle.
got goosebumps.
Yes. It truly was a miracle. And then when I met my biological mother, all of everything that she had to share with me, all of the secrets and lies that she uncovered in my lineage was just horrific. Let me tell you how horrific it is. I have sisters and brothers that are my uncles and aunts.
Mm.
Wow.
Is not that twisted? It's just all kinds of ill.
Yeah, your biological father is also your grandfather.
I just don't recognize him as the F word. I have never called him that, and I won't. I will go to my grave and never say that.
I don't blame you.
He is the person that molested my biological mother. That's who he is to me.
Right. And not entitled to a title of respect.
No, no. But I have sisters and I've met these people. I have some of them. I have sisters and brothers who are my uncles and aunts. My grandmother, the one who the first generation of this 4-generation lineage that allowed this to take place in her house, she was pregnant with her 9th child when my mother gave birth to me.
My gosh, that's
God
just
bless you.
horrible.
You know, and it's not by mistake, though, that you
No.
guys are so powerful and so strong. It's clear that because of your faith, God is using you to help heal other people and other families. See, it's very assumed this happens only to women, and it doesn't. The boys are just as badly abused. They're taught to abuse the women.
Mm-hmm.
And they're taught to have sex with the women. They're not taught that, no, that's your sister. There's a respectable boundaries. And they're messed up mentally
Yeah.
and emotionally and spiritually from this too.
Mm-hmm.
So we do I know it sounds like it's an all girls thing, but it's really not. This is men too.
It really is not. Boys are being sexually abused, and the sad part about it is boys are being sexually abused, men are being sexually abused. You know, we're hearing about it in the church, but boys are being sexually abused, and boys, because of the macho male ego, they
won't say
really
anything.
don't talk about it. I mean,
Right.
for you know, as women, we don't talk about it because of, you know,
Shame.
yeah, shame. Well, you know, the whole court system situation that just
Yeah.
place with, you know, with the whole court thing. I mean, that's a prime example of why we women don't talk about it, but men don't talk about it because of the male ego, because of machoism, because it makes them appear gay.
Or weak.
Yeah, or weak, or
Right.
you know, all of those kinds of things, and it's just horrific. Abuse is abuse.
Is
Is
abuse. Amen to that. Rebecca, she's from Catherine's from Tennessee, right, Catherine?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. They wanted to know if you were from Tennessee or further south. Your accent is so very good, Rebecca, that you're able to, you know, identify Tennessee. You go, girl. So,
I wanted to give statistics because before we came on air, Chris was talking about individuals thinking that it's more of an African American thing, and I just want to make sure that viewers have the statistics too, because those really matter. So 57% of perpetrators are Caucasian, and 27% of perpetrators are African American. So I just wanted to that's a drastic percentage in difference for those of you that are watching, and
assuming,
assuming
side,
that it is it's more of an African American concern. It's not. It is a human concern.
That's
Amen.
exactly right.
Very
It's a
right.
human concern. If you are of human descent and able to be violated, you should be worried.
That's right.
You should be concerned.
That's right.
You should care.
That's
You
right.
should be active in some way to protect children and to discuss it and to be open about it. We don't have a whole lot more time, and I wanted to give a little bit of time to the charity work that you ladies do in Africa, over in Kenya, and a little bit about your nonprofit here in the States.
Yes.
I'm gonna let you tell us.
Well, as I said earlier, founder and CEO of Women. We go with it, the name is Women on Maintaining Education and Nutrition. But but we go. Yes, I'll let you do that.
Wait a minute. You have to say that a little slower because it's powerful, and you said it so fast. I think some of the audience might have missed it.
Okay. We go by the acronym Women. WOMEN with dots in between. And you can Google that part. That's easy. WOMEN.
Yes, but it stands for
women on maintaining education and nutrition.
I love that.
Yes.
Okay, tell us more.
And we're in Tennessee. And 25 years ago, when I was diagnosed with HIV, there were no services in the community that I lived in that addressed me as a woman, as a mother, and as an African American living with HIV. So I created the first, and now what is the oldest, HIV support group in the state of Tennessee. From that support group, within a matter of months, we became 501c3, and the nonprofit was born. From there, we created a myriad of programs and services, case management, a whole array of services. We have the largest food pantry in our zip code. We provide sexual assault services, domestic violence services, transportation services, navigation services. I mean, just an array of services. We the people that we serve are HIV negative. We provide services to HIV positive people. We provide services to the homeless community. We don't care. When I was diagnosed, one of the things, when my family went through a period of losses, we lost everything when I was diagnosed. The stigma associated with HIV 25 years ago was very, very real. And I suffered the ramifications of the stigma associated with HIV. And so we lost everything. My home, my job, my 401k, I lost everything. Church, was kicked out of my Catholic church, lost absolutely everything. And so in my losses, I became very angry with God. And in my anger with God, on the other side of that, I asked God, I said, Lord, and in my loss, please don't let me lose my children. And the only thing that he spared me was my children. We lost everything else except for my children. Well, imagine going to your refrigerator in your home, opening up your refrigerator, and there's no food in your refrigerator to feed your children. I've been there. And I said, Lord, if you get me through this, with this organization, I promise you that we will always have a food pantry. So anybody that comes through our door today that says they're hungry, we're going to give you some food. That's that's how I roll. That is what I tell my staff. We feed people. Now you could have a boatload of food in your refrigerator. That's going to be between you and God. But
we don't turn anyone away.
We turn no one away. We provide HIV testing, HIV counseling, all of those services.
It's amazing what you came from and what you guys are producing. Tell me a little bit about Kenya.
I've been to 13 or 14 countries. I've been blessed to be able to travel all over the world. And one of my things is service. I love service. I love teaching and training and working with women and building women up and building and working with other nonprofits and services. And so, empowerment. And so we were in Kenya, and I saw a tremendous need for women whose husbands were in the military. And so many of these women their husbands would come home from the military and infect them with HIV and other sexually transmitted diseases that they just were not coming back from. And so we started there, just like here. We started there with a small support group, which if you go to the website, I think it's on the Catherine Wyatt Morley website or the Educating Women website.
Well, there's a link on Catherine Wyatt Morley's website to the actual organization's website. On the homepage, it says learn more about women, and it'll take you straight to the page. Go ahead.
Yeah, that will take you to the page, and you'll see a picture of the support group individuals in Kenya. So it's a small branch of the organization, but it started small with a support group in Kenya.
That's awesome. Okay, we have less than a minute, so I just want you to hold up the book one more time. I Am a Product of Rape, a memoir. And guys, it's just amazing. If you Google that, you will find out all about these women as well as their book. I know this subject was slightly off our traditional ways, but not really, because when you think about it, this was opening doors to very extreme spiritual experiences.
Mhm.
Ladies, thank you so much. It was
Thank
an
you.
honor to have
Thank
you
Thank
with us.
you. Thank you so much for having us. And
Thank
I do
you.
want to say that our platform is about helping others on their healing journey. So those of you that feel the spirit telling you to support others going through domestic violence or sexual assault, please click on the donate button on our website. It's at the bottom of the screen, and help us support other women through their journey to their healing. Please, we provide them mental health. We provide housing for them. We provide a myriad array of services that I can't say within 1 minute. But please help other people.
Yeah, anything you can do, guys, would really, just be wonderful, especially those of us who have some experience. We understand the powerful work that these women are doing. Chris, next time you can't talk this much, okay?
Okay, I'll just try to keep it all to myself.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good
We'll see
night.
you
Love
next
Thank
you
you.
week.
guys.
And
Thank
just
you.
real quick, anyone who wants to stay up, I will be live tonight on Midnight in the Desert Radio. You can hear it online at 2 a.m. Eastern Time. See you all later. Bye now.
Good night, dear.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.